When the grid goes down, people don't fight over gold or guns first. They fight over items sitting in your pantry right now. Think about that for a moment. The things that spark the most desperate conflicts aren't rare or expensive. They're everyday essentials you probably walked past at the store yesterday without a second thought. Do you know which items will cause the most chaos? Which products will vanish from shelves in hours, leaving crowds of panicked people fighting over scraps? Most people don't realize until it's already too late, and by then, they're caught in the middle of the scramble. In this video, you'll discover the 12 most fiercely contested survival items in a real SHTF scenario. But more importantly, you'll understand why these specific items become battleground essentials. It's not just about scarcity, it's about psychology, timing, and the brutal reality of how fast normal disappears. This isn't theory or speculation. This comes from real emergency patterns, survivor accounts, and the hard lessons learned when systems collapse. Welcome to Food Decider, where we break down critical survival knowledge that could make the difference between staying safe and joining the chaos. If you want to stay ahead when everyone else is scrambling, hit that like button and subscribe right now. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what disappears first and why most people realize their mistake when it's already too late. Let's start with the most critical resource, one that most people completely overlook in those first crucial hours: water. You've heard it 1,000 times. You can't survive more than 3 days without it. But here's what nobody tells you. The real battleground isn't bottled water from stores. It's pressurized water sources that people don't even think about until it's too late. The average home water heater holds 30 to 50 gallons of perfectly drinkable water. Commercial buildings, they often have thousands of gallons stored in tanks and rooftop reservoirs. Municipal infrastructure holds even more, all sitting under pressure until the moment the grid collapses. The survivors who understand this, who know how to access these reserves early, they sidestep the conflict entirely. Everyone else, they're fighting over the last case of water bottles at a looted convenience store. Here's the critical timeline most people miss. Treatment plants shut down first. Then pressure starts dropping throughout the system. The taps run dry last. There's a window, sometimes hours, sometimes less, where you can still fill every container you own directly from your faucet. But the urgency escalates faster than you'd think. Families burn through water at an alarming rate for drinking, cleaning, cooking, and basic hygiene. The moment those faucets cough air instead of water, genuine fear sets in. That's when the scramble begins, and that's when things get ugly. Being proactive about water isn't just smart, it's the difference between safety and being forced into a desperate crowd fighting over contaminated supplies. Now, while everyone's thinking about water, they're ignoring something just as immediate: food, but not the kind you're thinking of. In moments of genuine panic, nobody's firing up a stove or carefully opening canned goods. They're reaching for instant fuel, foods that require zero preparation, no water, no tools, nothing. Protein bars, trail mix, beef jerky, dried fruit, electrolyte chews. These items are invaluable because they're portable, lightweight, and packed with energy. You can grab them and go. Here's what happens in real emergencies. These items disappear from stores well before canned foods even get touched. Why? Because when adrenaline is pumping and fear is running high, your body burns energy rapidly. People become shaky, irritable, and their decision-making falls apart if they can't refuel fast. Emergency response teams know this fact inside and out. Fast carbohydrates prevent poor decisions and reduce aggression. A hungry, panicked person is a dangerous person. Gas stations become war zones, break rooms get ransacked, cafeterias are stripped bare, even vending machines get torn open for those last few granola bars. The psychology is simple. People need calories now, not later. And when now is all that matters, these portable, ready-to-eat items become worth fighting for. If you wait too long to stock up on these things, you'll be fighting for scraps with everyone else who waited. But even with water and food secured, there's another resource that triggers panic faster than almost anything else: power. The moment electrical outlets stop working, people feel the loss instantly. It's visceral, and the race for portable power begins immediately. Your phone isn't just a convenience, it's your connection to information, maps, loved ones, and even proof of identity. As that battery percentage drops, panic rises faster than hunger ever could. Portable power banks, backup charging blocks, AA and AAA batteries, these become survival leverage overnight. Think about everything that runs on portable power: flashlights, radios, medical devices, GPS. Solar chargers and hand crank generators get overlooked during normal times, but when the blackout is clearly not temporary anymore, people fight over these items with desperate intensity. A charged device isn't comfort. It's not about scrolling social media or playing games. It's a critical tool for mobility, awareness, and negotiation. Information is power, and power keeps you informed. Without it, you're operating blind in a world that's rapidly becoming more dangerous. But there's something people need even before their phone dies, something that causes more immediate desperation than almost anything else on this list: medicine. Before anyone's fighting over antibiotics or specialty medications, the real flashpoints erupt over everyday medicines: painkillers, fever reducers, asthma inhalers, EpiPens, insulin, blood pressure medication, thyroid meds. Pharmacies operate on razor-thin inventory. They restock regularly because they're not designed to hold large reserves. The moment those refills stop coming, desperation takes root fast. Think about this. A minor injury without painkillers or basic wound care can quickly spiral into a debilitating disability. You can't function. You can't make clear decisions. You're a liability to yourself and everyone depending on you. Fever reducers become absolutely crucial, especially if you have children, elderly family members, or anyone with chronic health conditions. Without proper medical supplies, simple wounds turn into medical emergencies, and there's no ambulance coming to help. This is where real conflict emerges. People with chronic conditions who need daily medication aren't choosing to fight. They're forced into it by biological necessity. Those who secure these essentials early avoid the agonizing competitive scramble that follows system failure. Those who don't, they're making impossible choices under the worst possible circumstances. Now let's talk about fuel, because this is where most people's thinking is completely wrong. Forget about fighting at gas station pumps. Those run dry almost immediately, and they're dangerous places to be when things fall apart. The real battle shifts to small, portable fuel supplies: jerry cans, propane tanks, butane canisters, alcohol fuels, camp stove cartridges, lamp oil. These enable not just transportation, but cooking, heating, sterilizing water, and lighting. Here's the problem. Stores don't stock large quantities of these items. They're not designed to. Once delivery chains break, and they break fast, that tiny public inventory is the total supply, period. People fight over fuel in small containers because it's versatile, relatively safe to store, and requires no infrastructure to use. You don't need a gas station or a working pump. You just need the container and a way to use it. In cold weather or when cooking becomes impossible, these containers attract fierce competition. And unlike gasoline at a pump, these are portable enough to grab and defend. But fuel alone won't keep you alive long term. You need a way to make sure your water supply doesn't kill you. Clean bottled water vanishes in hours. It provides only temporary relief. The long-term battleground is for purification gear: water filters, purification tablets, UV sterilization sticks, gravity filtration systems. These tools turn questionable water sources, runoff, rivers, even contaminated tap water into safe hydration. This is where the math gets brutal. Water is non-negotiable. 3 days without it can kill you. But purification gear? Most stores stock only a handful of filters and a few boxes of tablets. Once contaminated water becomes your only option, these items become absolutely priceless. Gravity filtration systems and UV purification units hold particular value because they work without chemicals, without boiling, and without electrical power. They can process large quantities of water efficiently. The moment the crisis hits and people realize their bottled water won't last, these systems disappear instantly.
Purification gear multiplies your survival potential exponentially. One filter can process thousands of gallons. One UV stick can last for years. This isn't about comfort, it's about extending your life indefinitely. And just like water purification, there's another overlooked essential that becomes critical the moment temperatures drop: fire. Specifically, the ability to create fire reliably. Disposable lighters run out fast, matches get wet, crumble, or disintegrate. The true conflict erupts over reliable ignition systems: ferro rods, magnesium fire starters, storm-proof lighting tools, wax-infused tinder, and portable camping stoves. Cold is lethal. That's not an exaggeration. Hypothermia kills, and it kills faster than people expect. Fire means survival. It provides warmth, enables food preparation, sterilizes water and medical equipment, and offers massive psychological comfort in an unstable environment. Ignition tools that work when wet, tinder that stays dry even in adverse conditions, and compact stoves that let you boil water or cook with minimal smoke, these all gain tremendous value the moment the power goes out. These items separate the prepared survivors from those scrambling as temperatures drop and conditions worsen. A portable, manageable fire source is a force multiplier. It extends your capabilities in ways that few other items can match. But fire isn't enough. You need the ability to actually do things, to gather resources, access supplies, build shelter, and defend what's yours. Tools aren't just objects, they're amplifiers of individual capability. Think about it. A quality multi-tool in your pocket can replace an entire workshop.
Crowbars, pry bars, hatchets, folding saws, manual screwdrivers, wrenches, and pliers become absolute necessities for gathering resources, accessing sealed supplies, and building or defending shelter. When power tools become useless decorations because there's no electricity, manual tools reign supreme, and supplies in this category vanish shockingly fast because everyone recognizes the same truth: capability means survival. The person with tools has options. The person without tools is helpless. A crowbar can open locked doors, break through barriers, and serve as a defensive weapon. A hatchet processes firewood and clears obstacles. A folding saw is portable and efficient. These aren't luxuries, they're essentials. And in a world where you can't just call someone to fix things or access things for you, these tools become more valuable than gold. Now let's talk about something that becomes critical the moment the sun goes down: light. When daylight fades, threats multiply exponentially. People aren't just inconvenienced, they're exposed, vulnerable, and operating at a severe disadvantage. Reliable, long-lasting light sources become fiercely guarded and aggressively fought over. Headlamps, rugged LED lanterns, and chemical light sticks aren't optional, they're essential. Darkness destroys confidence. It slows decision-making and dramatically worsens stress levels. Light means psychological control, improved safety, and deterrence against potential threats. People are less likely to approach a well-lit position because it signals awareness and preparation. Batteries for durable lights become valuable currency in themselves. Solar-powered rechargeable lights are especially prized because they don't depend on a dwindling battery supply. A headlamp allows completely hands-free operation, which is critical when you're trying to work, navigate, or defend yourself. Chemical light sticks provide stealth illumination with no heat, no flame, and no noise, a massive tactical advantage in tense environments. This isn't about convenience, it's about maintaining control and awareness when every shadow could hide a threat. But light alone won't tell you what's happening beyond your immediate surroundings. For that, you need something else entirely: communication. Once power fails, cell towers drop off rapidly, internet infrastructure collapses, people become entirely reliant on rumor, which amplifies fear and drives conflict. Radios, walkie-talkies, ham radio sets, analog receivers, even basic wind-up emergency radios, these devices become high-value assets almost instantly. Why? Because they provide critical information: evacuation routes, emergency broadcasts, locations of safe
safe zones, official updates, and warnings about dangerous areas. These devices convert victims into organizers, negotiators, and informed survivors. Awareness means leverage. Those who control information can coordinate resources and avoid danger before it arrives. Analog gear, something as simple as a basic FM radio or a hand crank emergency radio, might become your only link to the outside world. That transforms these devices into currency and fiercely protected possessions. Information isn't just power, it's the difference between walking into danger and avoiding it entirely. While people are focused on gadgets and gear, they're missing something absolutely critical that causes chaos faster than almost anything else: sanitation. Few people predict how quickly sanitation infrastructure collapses after the grid fails. Trash collection stops immediately. Toilets back up within days. Contamination spikes rapidly. And here's the brutal truth: disease spreads before hunger becomes your biggest problem. Bleach, soap, disinfectant wipes, heavy-duty garbage bags, disposable gloves, masks, and general cleaning supplies get aggressively sought after, often more so than high-tech gadgets or luxury items. Why? Because a single bottle of bleach can purify water, sanitize surfaces, and disinfect wounds. It's multi-purpose and absolutely essential. Sanitation is about preventing your living space from breaking down into a breeding ground for bacteria and disease. Once illness emerges in a group, it spreads fast and incapacitates people who were otherwise capable. Hygiene supplies run out shockingly fast because very few people stockpile them, and their value skyrockets the moment illness appears. Those ignored bottles of bleach and packets of disinfectant wipes can determine whether your shelter remains stable or erupts into chaos as disease takes hold. Now, with all these essentials covered, there's one more thing people desperately seek, and it's not what you think: security. Yes, weapons are an obvious consideration, but the first lines of defense in any breakdown scenario are far more mundane. Locks, chains, heavy-duty padlocks, window bars, reinforcement hardware, barricade materials. Most people want to protect their families and possessions, not attack strangers. The first wave of panic isn't about aggression, it's about defense. Padlocks, heavy chains, long screws and mounting brackets, barricade tools, and basic building materials like thick planks and metal sheets evaporate from store shelves incredibly quickly. Securing your space buys you time and options. A safe home allows you to ration supplies properly, get better sleep, make calm decisions, and reduce the need for constant vigilance.
The conflict over security gear is driven not by greed but by fear. Fear of break-ins, fear of civil unrest, fear of law enforcement being absent or overwhelmed. A locked door isn't just physical security, it's psychological security. It lets you rest, it lets you think, it lets you plan instead of just react. And finally, there's one last category that almost everyone overlooks until it becomes absolutely critical: comfort and temperature regulation. Comfort items are dismissed as luxuries until they become survival necessities. As heating systems fail and homes lose their warmth, psychological stability begins to crumble. Blankets, thermal layers, gloves, boots, and insulated clothing move from nice to have to absolutely essential for survival. Here's what most people don't understand: shivering undermines judgment, coordination, and crisis management ability. The loss of warmth accelerates panic, and panicked people take desperate measures. The psychology is brutally simple. The colder people get, the more agitated and aggressive they become. Good blankets vanished first from stores, followed quickly by gloves and insulated boots. This isn't about comfort in the traditional sense, it's about maintaining the psychological anchor you need to make rational decisions. Even in moderate climates, nighttime temperatures and wind chill can escalate risk dramatically. After disasters, emergency shelters fill up due to cold exposure more than physical injuries. The fight for warmth is the quiet trigger behind so much chaotic behavior. A person who's warm can think clearly. A person who's freezing will do almost anything to stop shivering. So why don't people prepare for these things? The answer is universal and predictable. Many of these items are staples of daily life. They're easy to acquire during normal times and even easier to dismiss as unimportant.
Few people truly anticipate that normal can evaporate in a matter of hours, triggering a mass rush for essentials rather than luxuries. The psychology is the same everywhere. People don't perceive risk until the warning signs are unmistakable and panic-inducing. Empty shelves, faucets coughing air, streets going dark. That thin veneer of civilization gives way to a brutal focus on immediate needs, and conflict erupts not from selfishness, but from fear and the urgent drive to protect loved ones. The early bird isn't just ahead, they're safe. They're operating from a position of calm rationality while everyone else is forced to compete for resources in crowds driven by adrenaline and uncertainty. Most shortages aren't caused by stores physically running out of stock instantly. Instead, it's the synchronized movement of the entire population toward the same items, all sparked by collective awareness of risk. The moment people get it, the moment they realize the situation is serious, supply chains buckle under the weight of simultaneous demand. High-density, multi-purpose goods like water, food, power, medicine, hygiene, defense tools, and comfort items become immediate flashpoints for confrontation. Minor injuries, cold, darkness, and uncertainty all compound stress levels, triggering desperate behavior in otherwise rational people. Hunger drives aggression. Cold amplifies it. Scarcity intensifies the psychological drive to secure resources at any cost. People guard, bargain, steal, or fight not because they're inherently bad people, but because primal fear takes over. This dynamic shifts what might otherwise be common, inexpensive items into the realm of treasure. Here's what this means for you right now while things are calm. Survival isn't about preparing for obscure disasters with specialized gear you'll probably never use. It's about understanding which everyday items become critical leverage when normal disappears. It's about recognizing that the things causing the most conflict aren't exotic, they're ordinary. Real preparation isn't panic buying at the last second. It's calm, proactive acquisition of multi-purpose essentials. Pressurized water access knowledge, instant calorie foods, portable power, basic medicines, small fuel containers, purification gear, reliable ignition systems, capability-enhancing tools, durable lighting, communication devices, hygiene supplies, physical security items, and temperature regulation gear. Securing these items before a crisis removes you from the competitive rush and breaks the conflict cycle entirely. It enables not just survival, but stability and confidence in an unstable world. You're not fighting, you're not scrambling, you're simply prepared. History backs this up completely. After hurricanes, severe cold snaps, earthquakes, and mass blackouts, survivors consistently report the same patterns. Water, power, hygiene, and comfort items vanished first. Those who secured them early avoided the harshest struggles. Those who didn't, they faced impossible choices. Sanitation and warmth prove just as critical as food and water. Communication and light become decisive factors. Security gear prevents confrontational risk before it escalates. The stories are remarkably consistent across different disasters and different regions. The prepared remain rational and in control. The unprepared scramble and often make things worse. True survival doesn't come from exotic gear or dramatic heroism.
It comes from anticipation and intelligent prioritization of simple, daily essentials that transform into lifelines when systems falter. Understanding which items spark conflict and why allows you to make informed choices right now, while supply is plentiful, prices are normal, and stress levels are minimal. Accumulate these essentials gradually. Rotate your stock so nothing expires or degrades. Guard the basics and diversify your supplies across multiple categories. Don't wait for obvious signs of collapse to trigger your response. By then, you're already late. The shelves are already empty. The crowds are already panicking. Above all, recognize that survival leverage is rooted in three things: adaptability, knowledge, and psychological control.
Calm, prepared communities fare far better than chaotic, reactive ones. Your preparation and the wisdom you choose to share with those around you might be the anchor that steadies not just yourself, but your entire community in the storms ahead. If this video opened your eyes to which everyday items become critical survival resources, hit that like button right now and subscribe to Food Decider. We break down the knowledge that keeps you ahead of the curve. Check out our other videos on emergency preparedness and survival psychology. And remember, the time to prepare isn't when chaos hits, it's right now, while you still can. Stay safe, stay prepared, and stay ahead of the chaos.